What can you really get done in just 3 hours? Well, if you're talking high-stakes diplomacy, apparently you can reshape a massive multi-billion-dollar partnership. So let's get right into it. We're going to break down the UAE president's recent visit to India, a visit that was super short, but as you'll see, incredibly important.
Now, this right here, this is not your standard diplomatic talk. When Prime Minister Modi greeted the UAE president, he didn't use a formal title. He called him brother. I mean, think about that. That single word just completely sets the tone for everything that follows. It tells you this is about way more than just politics or trade.
Yeah, you heard that right. A visit of just over 3 hours. To be exact, it was about 3.5. That's what? Shorter than watching a superhero movie. And yet the official word from India's foreign secretary was that the outcome was extremely substantive. So the big question is, how on earth did they manage to pack so much into such a tiny window of time? All right, let's break it all down.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about the welcome, because honestly, the gestures here, they speak volumes. It's this personal warmth that really forms the foundation for this whole strategic partnership. And it's the details in these gestures that are just, well, they're remarkable. I mean, Prime Minister Modi didn't just send a delegate. He went to the airport himself, and then they traveled together in the same car. The gifts, too, they weren't just some generic, off-the-shelf items. Nope. We're talking deeply symbolic things. A hand-carved swing from Gujarat, a symbol of family. Prized Kashmiri saffron. You see, these aren't just polite gestures. They're very carefully chosen symbols that point to a real, deep, personal connection. All right, so that's the personal touch. Now let's follow the money. Because while the welcome was all warmth and friendship, the economic talks were all about hard numbers. And trust me, they were very big numbers.
Get ready for this. $200 billion. That is the new target they've set for trade between the two countries every single year by 2032. That's not just ambitious, it's a massive, massive goal.
And this chart really puts that ambition into perspective, right? We're not talking about some small incremental increase here. They're aiming to more than double their current trade, which is already at $84 billion. This is a huge economic leap. It's a clear signal that they are committed to weaving their economies together, especially when you look at future-focused areas like tech, energy, and food security. But look, this partnership isn't just about the money. Not at all. It's about building something much bigger. A really comprehensive strategic alliance that covers pretty much everything, from national security all the way to the energy that keeps both countries running. So a big part of this was signing off on a strategic defense partnership. Okay, so what does that actually mean in plain English? Well, it's basically a formal framework, an agreement to work super closely together on military stuff. We're talking about everything from joint exercises and training to even co-developing brand new, advanced military technology. So you can see, this cooperation covers a whole lot of ground. Defense industry stuff, advanced tech, joint training, you name it. But probably the most crucial piece here is the shared goal of countering cross-border terrorism. For both India and the UAE, this is not just some diplomatic talking point. It is an absolutely fundamental pillar of their national security. And this right here really shows you how this is a true two-way street. It's what you'd call a symbiotic relationship. You've got the UAE helping to power India's huge economy with a new 10-year deal for LNG. And then, on the flip side, you have India helping to guarantee the UAE's food security by making it easier to export things like rice. See? Each side is providing something the other absolutely critically needs. Okay, so we've hit the personal connection, the huge economic goals, and the deep strategic alliance. So what's left? The future. And that's where this gets really interesting, because these agreements aren't just about the here and now. They are about building the world of tomorrow, together. And the focus here is squarely on the cutting edge. We're talking AI, space, next-gen energy, the whole 9 yards. They are very clearly positioning this partnership to be a leader in the technologies that are going to define the rest of this century. And man, they are thinking big. First, you've got nuclear energy, partnering on massive new reactors. Then there's AI, with plans for a supercomputing cluster in India. Next up is space, developing shared infrastructure for the growing space industry. And then, there's this really fascinating idea of creating something called a data embassy. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. What on earth is a data embassy? It's a pretty new concept, but the basic idea is this. You set up secure servers in another country, and those servers are given the same sovereign status as a physical embassy. It's a really forward-thinking way to protect a nation's most critical data in our digital world.
Pretty cool, right?
Okay, so let's pull back for a second and look at the big picture. When you put all these pieces together, the personal, the economic, the strategic, the future tech, what does this super short but super packed visit really mean?
This table pretty much sums it all up. This is your key takeaway. In a little over 3 hours, they kicked off plans to double their trade to $200 billion, set up a strategic defense partnership, launch joint projects in AI, space, and nuclear power, and even strengthen cultural ties. The sheer scope of what they agreed to is just staggering for a meeting that was so short. And you have to remember the context here, because that's what makes this so important right now. This visit didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened while there's a lot of instability in West Asia. So by building this incredibly strong, multi-layered partnership, India and the UAE are sending a really powerful message, not just to the region, but to the whole world. And that message is, we are betting on a future built on stability, cooperation, and prosperity for everyone. So that leaves us with one big final thought to chew on. You know, we live in an age of these endless summits and negotiations that drag on forever. So could this model, a really short, super focused, and wildly productive meeting that's all built on deep personal trust, could this actually be the new blueprint for how you build alliances in the 21st century?